The cry in the rain fell hard on the metal streets of New York. The tall glass towers disappeared into the dark clouds above, their neon lights glowing like strange stars in the night. Water rushed along the edges of the road, carrying paper. Cups, broken tech parts, and the smell of the city. People hurried through the rain, heads low, eyes locked on their glowing wrist screens. Nobody wanted to stop. Nobody wanted to look at anyone else. In New York, that was how you stayed safe. Evan Carter walked quickly, his coat pulled tight. He had been working a double shift at the repair docks, fixing ship engines for a wage barely. Enough to buy food. His boots were soaked and his shoulders ached. All he wanted was to get home, eat something warm, and sleep. Then he heard it. A sound. Small, broken, almost lost in the rain. "Please, someone help." Evan froze. The voice was thin and trembling, a kind of sound you only hear from someone in real trouble. He turned his head slowly, scanning the shadows. There, under a flickering streetlight, a small figure knelt on the wet ground, holding the limp hand of someone lying beside her. The figure's skin was pale blue, almost glowing under the streetlight. Silver hair stuck to her face, and her wide silver eyes shone with tears. She looked no older than 10. Her voice cracked again. "Please. My mom, she won't wake up." People passed by. They didn't stop. They didn't even look. A man in a black coat stepped around the girl without slowing down. A woman in. A red scarf crossed to the other side of the street. Evan's chest tightened. He knew why. Ever since the treaty collapse, things between humans and aliens had been tense. Helping an alien in public could bring you trouble. Big trouble. He should keep walking. He should pretend he didn't hear, but his legs didn't move. The girl looked up and saw him. She held his gaze, desperate. "Please." Evan's feet carried him forward. When he reached her, he saw the woman lying on the ground, tall, the same pale blue skin, dressed in fine but soaked clothing. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. Evan crouched down. What happened? The girl's lip trembled. "We were walking. She said she felt dizzy. Then she fell. I can't wake her." Evan touched the woman's neck, searching for a pulse. Faint, but there. Her skin felt colder than the rain. He pulled off his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. "She needs a doctor." Before the girl could answer, a harsh mechanical voice boomed above them. "Step away from the alien, human." Evan looked up. 3 black-armored security drones hovered in the air, red scanning lights, sweeping over him. The rain slid off their metal shells. Their weapons were visible, not raised, but ready. "This is restricted contact," one drone said. "Human citizens are not authorized to assist non-human citizens without clearance." Evan's stomach turned cold. He'd heard stories. People fined, arrested, even vanished for ignoring such orders. "She's dying," he said, raising his voice over the rain. "That is not your concern," the drone replied. "Leave now." The girl's small hand clutched his sleeve. Her silver eyes pleaded with him, shimmering in the dim light. "Please." "She will die." Evan's mind raced. Walk away, and he would be safe. Walk away, and he could go home, eat, sleep. But he thought about the people who had passed by, eyes down, pretending they hadn't seen. And he knew he couldn't be one of them. Without another word, he slid his arms under the alien woman, lifting her. She was surprisingly light, but her body was limp. The drones moved closer. "You are disobeying a direct order. Stop immediately." Evan turned, shielding the woman with his body, and started walking. Fast. The girl ran beside him, keeping close. "This way," she shouted over the rain. The drones followed, their engines whining like angry wasps. Final warning. "Stop." or force will be used. Evan didn't stop. He turned down a narrow alley, splashing through deep puddles. Neon signs buzzed overhead, throwing green and pink light over wet walls covered in peeling posters. Behind them, the drone's metal voices echoed, closer now. The girl grabbed his arm and pointed. Left, they ducked into another alley, even, narrower, with steam pouring from vents in the walls. Evan's heart pounded. His arms ached from carrying the woman, but he didn't slow down. The drone's voices faded for a moment, then returned. They were scanning the area. The girl pulled him toward a half-broken door, hidden behind a trash bin. She shoved it open, and they slipped inside. It was dark. The smell of rust and old machinery filled the air. Evan lowered the woman gently onto the floor. The girl knelt beside her, brushing wet hair from her face. "Hold on, Mom. Please hold on." Evan leaned against the wall, breathing hard. His clothes were soaked, his hands shaking. Outside, faint mechanical hums passed by. The drones hadn't found them. Not yet. In that moment, Evan realized something strange. The girl wasn't just leading him anywhere. She was leading him somewhere she knew. Somewhere she trusted. And that meant her story was only just beginning. Asterisk. The warning: the dark room smelled of damp metal and dust. Rain dripped from a crack in the ceiling, hitting the floor with slow, hollow taps. Evan's breath came in heavy bursts as he listened. The faint hum of the drone still floated outside, like vultures circling overhead. The little alien girl sat on the floor beside her mother, her small hands holding the woman's cold fingers. Her silver eyes didn't leave Evan's face, and for a moment he felt as if she was silently judging him, weighing whether he could be trusted. "What's your name?" Evan asked. "Lyra," she said softly. "And she's my mother, Celine." Evan nodded, crouching down. "Lyra, your mom's breathing is weak. We need—" A sudden thump outside cut him off. Something heavy landed near the door. Davin froze. The sound was followed by a sharp, mechanical click. The hum of the drones grew louder, then stopped. No more patrolling. No more searching. They had found them. The door rattled once. Then a voice, cold, male and human this time, came through the crack. "Evan Carter, you are harboring an unauthorized alien. Open the door." Evan's blood turned to ice. They knew his name. "How?" "Do they?" he began, but Lyra's small hand tugged his sleeve. "Don't open it," she whispered urgently. "They're not here to arrest you. They're here to kill her." The words hit harder than the rain outside. "Kill her? Why?" "Lyra's." Gaze flickered to her mother's still face. "Because she knows something. Something they don't want anyone to hear." Before Evan could respond, the voice outside spoke again, sharper now. "Last warning, Carter. You have 10 seconds." A red light began to glow under the door. A cutting beam. They were going to burn their way in. Evan's heart pounded. His options were closing fast. "Is there another way out?" he asked. Lyra's silver eyes shifted toward the far wall. "There's a hatch. It leads to the underways." Evan spotted a square panel, half hidden behind a pile of broken crates. He hurried over, dragging them aside. The panel was rusted shut, but with a hard kick, it popped open, revealing a ladder descending into darkness. The red beam under the door grew brighter. The hiss of melting metal filled the room. Evan lifted Celine again, cradling her carefully. "You first," he told Lyra. The girl didn't hesitate. She climbed down into the dark, her small hands gripping the rungs. Evan followed, stepping into the damp air below, just as the upper door gave way with a screech of torn steel. From above came the sound of boots, not drones this time, but humans. Their voices were muffled, but clear enough to chill Evan's blood. "He's got the asset. Don't lose him." Asset, not person. Not woman. Asset. Evan's mind raced as he descended. Whoever these people were, they didn't see Selene as a living being. She was something to capture or destroy. They reached the bottom. The underways stretched out in two directions, a labyrinth of old maintenance tunnels, lit only by flickering strips of dying lights. The air was thick with the smell of rust and oil. Lyra didn't wait for instructions. She turned left and started running, her bare feet splashing through shallow puddles. Evan followed, struggling to keep Selene steady in his arms. Above them, faint thuds echoed, the sound of their hunters moving fast, searching for another entrance. After several turns, Lyra suddenly stopped. She placed her hand against a patch of wall. Evan saw faint symbols there, alien writing, glowing softly when her palm touched them. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a narrow passage. Inside, she whispered. They slipped through, and the wall closed silently behind them. In the tight passage, the noise of pursuit faded until all Evan could hear was his own breathing. They emerged into a small, dimly lit room. Old machines lined the walls, their screens cracked, but still glowing. Faintly with strange data, the room felt hidden. Protected. Evan set Selene down on a low cot. Lyra knelt beside her mother again, but this time she didn't look frightened. She looked determined. Evan, she said quietly, you need to know something before you decide if you'll keep helping us. He frowned. Decide? I already decided. Her silver eyes locked onto his. You decided to save her life. You haven't decided to save the truth. Before he could ask what she meant, the wall screen flickered, showing the grainy image of a man in a military uniform. Human, with sharp eyes and a cruel smile. Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. That man? He's the reason my mom won't wake up, and he's the reason they will never stop hunting us. Asterisk the chase. The hidden room felt safe for only a heartbeat. Then the sound came, a low metallic clank somewhere above them. A pause, another clank. The enemy had found their trail. Evan didn't wait for Lyra to speak. He scooped Selene into his arms again, feeling the faint, fragile rhythm of her breathing. Where now? Lyra's small silver eyes darted to a narrow vent in the far corner. That way, but once where? Out we run, and we do not stop. Evan didn't ask why. He could feel the air changing, like the city itself was holding its breath. They climbed through the vent, emerging into a wide, curved tunnel. Dim lights flickered along the walls, casting jagged shadows that moved like living things. The air was damp and tasted of rust. Behind them came the echo, a measured stomp of boots, growing louder. The soldiers weren't rushing. They didn't have to. They thought they were closing a trap. Faster, Lyra hissed. Evan ran, boots splashing through shallow water. Selene's weight slowed him, but adrenaline kept him moving. The tunnel seemed endless, until the floor suddenly sloped downward into a wide maintenance corridor. That's when the first drone bird dropped from the ceiling. It wasn't like the security drones from before. This one was smaller, shaped like a sleek black hawk with glowing red sensors for eyes. Its wings unfolded with a sharp metallic snap. The sound alone made Evan's skin crawl. It shrieked, a sound halfway between a bird's cry and tearing steel, and dove for them. Evan twisted to shield Selene, but Lyra was already moving. She pulled something from her pocket, a small sphere covered in alien markings, and slammed it against the wall. The sphere burst with a pulse of blue light. The drone bird's wings seized mid-flight, sparks spraying from its joints, and it crashed into the water. Evan stared. What was that? Gift from my mom, Lyra said, already running again. Don't stop. They took a sharp turn into another corridor, and ran straight into a group of 3 soldiers. They were human, armored in black with the same red insignia Evan had glimpsed on the man in the wall screen. Their rifles snapped up instantly. "Freeze!" One shouted. Evan's legs obeyed before his brain did. The soldier's visor glowed faintly, scanning him. "Evan Carter, you've made a serious mistake." The leader stepped forward, his voice dripping with false calm. "Give us the alien. Woman, you can walk away. No prison, no charges." Evan's throat went dry. For a split second, he thought about it. The choice they offered sounded like survival. But then he felt Seleni's cold hand in his, and Lyra's gaze burning into him. He shook his head. Not happening. The leader sighed, raising his rifle. "Then you die with them." A sudden roar erupted behind the soldiers. The floor shook. Rusty pipes overhead burst, spraying boiling steam from the mist. A massive shadow moved, tall, spindly, and fast. Evan caught only glimpses through the steam. Long jointed arms, glowing yellow eyes, and claws that scraped against the tunnel walls. The soldiers cursed and fired, but the thing moved like smoke, swiping one soldier off his feet and hurling him into the darkness. "Run!" Lyra shouted, pulling at Evan's sleeve. They bolted into the steam, using the chaos as cover. Evan didn't know if the monster was friend or foe, but right now, it didn't matter. The tunnels twisted, splitting into multiple paths. Lyra didn't hesitate, always choosing turns that seemed random, but never led them to a dead end. Evan finally asked between breaths, "How do you know where you're going?" Her answer was quiet, almost lost under their footsteps. "Because my mom built these tunnels." That stopped him cold for a heartbeat. With the sound of pursuit behind them snapped him back into motion. Up ahead, a dim green light marked heavy door. Lyra ran to it, placing her palm on a small scanner. The door slid open, revealing an upward stairwell. They climbed fast. The air grew warmer, fresher. The sound of rain returned. When they burst through the final hatch, they were back in the city, but not the same streets as before. Here, the neon lights were brighter, the crowds thicker, and the air was filled with the smell of street food and ozone from passing hover-dash bikes. Evan pulled his hood low. Blending in might buy us time. Lyra didn't answer right away. Her eyes scanned the crowd, her body tense. Then she whispered, "They won't stop. You don't understand, Evan. They'll burn half the city to find her." Evan swallowed hard. "Then we'd better make sure she's worth finding." Lyra looked at him like she wanted to say something else, but instead, she just started walking. And Evan followed, knowing the chase wasn't over. It had only just begun. The hidden truth, the fringe market, was alive with noise. Shouts from vendors, the hiss of frying food, the sharp crackle of electric signs in alien languages. The smell of spice, oil, and something burning drifted through the air, but Evan only saw one thing, the man in the black coat. He stood perfectly still, his hands clasped behind his back, the crowd flowing around him like he was a stone in a river. The red insignia on his collar glinted in the neon light, the same symbol Evan had seen on the soldiers, the same one on the screen in the tunnels, and he was smiling. Lyra grabbed Evan's arm. "Don't look at him. Keep moving." Evan's voice was low. "You know him?" Her eyes hardened. "Everyone on my world knows him. His name is Commander Rax, and if he's here, it means the hunt has no limits." Evan glanced back. Rax hadn't moved, but somehow he was still watching them, not like a man looking at prey, but like a man looking at something that already belonged to him. The safe house Lyra led Evan through twisting side streets, down into a dim doorway hidden behind a curtain of neon beads. Inside, the air was cooler, smelling faintly of metal and herbs. A figure waited in the shadows, tall, thin, skin the color of burnished gold. His long fingers tapped against the datapad. His voice was quiet but sharp. You brought him? Lyra nodded. He saved her. The figure stepped forward, studying Evan like a scientist inspecting an unknown species. A human. That makes things complicated. Yeah, Evan said dryly. I get that a lot. The man's gaze shifted to Celine. His expression changed. The kind of respect you gave to someone powerful, even when they were unconscious. We don't have much time, he said. If they've deployed Rax, it means they can't afford for her to speak. Not even once. The first truth Evan frowned. Speak about what? The man's golden eyes locked on him. About what she found. Lyra stepped closer. My mother was a diplomat between human worlds and alien systems. She discovered something. Proof that the war everyone fears isn't coming by accident. It's being built, planned, piece by piece. Evan's stomach tightened. Planned by who? The man's voice was steady. By human command and certain alien councils. Together. The words sank like stones in his mind. Humans and aliens working together to start a war? Why? Evan asked. The man's expression darkened. Because a war will give them control over everything. Borders, resources, lives. Fear makes people easier to rule. The second truth Lyra touched her mother's hand. She stole proof. Names, places, timelines. That's why they hit her with a mind drain. If we don't repair it soon, the memories will fade forever. Evan looked at Celine. Her face was peaceful. Almost too peaceful. Like she was sleeping in a place too far to wake from. The man handed Evan a small device. A thin silver band with glowing lines. This is a neural stabilizer. It can repair the damage. But it needs power, the kind you can only get from a fusion core. Evan's pulse quickened. And let me guess. Those are hard to find? The man gave a humorless smile. There's one in the city. In a human military compound, guarded day and night. The kind of place you don't walk into, unless you don't care about walking out. The final warning Evan turned the stabilizer over in his hands. You're asking me to steal from my own military. You know what that means for me? The man's golden eyes didn't blink. If you succeed, you save her life. If you fail, you won't have to worry about consequences. You'll already be dead. Lyra stepped in front of Evan, her voice low but firm. You're the only one who can get in without raising alarms. Humans won't shoot their own on sight. Evan looked at her, then at Celine, then at the stabilizer in his hand. He didn't like impossible jobs. He liked suicide jobs even less, but something in Lyra's silver eyes, the mix of fear and absolute faith, made his answer before his brain could stop him. I'll do it. The golden-skinned man leaned closer. Then you should leave. Now, because Rax won't wait for you to come to him. He'll bring the city down on your head before nightfall. Evan tucked the stabilizer into his coat, already feeling the weight of it. The hunt wasn't over. It was about to get personal. The plan the room went silent after Evan's decision. No cheering. No nods of respect. Only the heavy quiet of people realizing the clock had just started ticking. The golden-skinned man, who finally introduced himself as Dr. Oren, spread a Warren City map across the table. The paper was stained, edges frayed. The kind of map you didn't buy, you stole. This, Oren said, pointing to a glowing red square, is where they keep the fusion core. Human military Sector 7. Underground, sealed, and worse. It's in the same building where Commander Rax keeps his command office. Evan leaned over the map, so it's not just guarded. It's guarded by him. Lyra was standing close, her eyes sharp. That means we can't waste time. If Rax leaves the compound, he'll be coming here. Oren nodded. which is why we have one night. The layers of the job, Orin, tapped the map again. Sector 7 has 3 main entry points. 2 are impossible. The third is only nearly impossible. Evan raised an eyebrow. I'm almost inspired. The freight elevator for supply runs, Orin explained. It's controlled from the roof of the southern wing. You can't get to the roof without passing the biometric scanners. That means you need my human hand, Evan finished. Orin's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. Yes, but the scanners are linked to the military database. If your ID shows up, alarms will trigger. Lyra stepped forward. We don't use his real ID. We overwrite it. Evan blinked. I didn't know you could do that. You can't. Orin said flatly. But she can. From the shadows, a figure emerged, short, wrapped in a long coat, face half hidden under a hood. Her hands were covered in wires, glowing faintly like veins of neon. This is Vesa, Orin said. She doesn't just hack systems. She rewrites them. For 10 minutes, she can make the scanners believe you're their highest-ranking officer. Evan looked at her. Only 10 minutes? Her voice was a whisper, but it carried weight. 11, and the system notices it's been lied to. 11, and the doors lock you inside. The curveball Evan studied the plan. All right, we get in through the roof, take the freight elevator down, grab the core, and walk out before the clock hits 11. Orin's hand slammed down on the table. No. Once you take the core, the base will go into power lockdown. You'll have less than 2 minutes before every blast door in the sector seals shut. Evan exhaled. So, no pressure. Lyra stepped. Closer to him. You can do this. You've fixed ships falling out of the sky. This is the same thing. Except if you fail, the galaxy burns. Evan forced a grin. Yeah, exactly the same. The risk inside the risk Vesa slid a small silver chip across the table. One more thing. You'll find a data terminal in the fusion chamber. Plug this in. It will copy whatever they're hiding there. Evan hesitated. That's not part of the deal? It is now, Orin said. That core will save Celine, but the data will save everyone else. Evan pocketed the chip. His gut told him this was going to be the part that really got him killed. The countdown by the time they finished, it was nearly midnight. The rain had started again, soft at first. Then heavier, drumming against the roof of the safe house. Evan stood by the door, checking the weight of his coat, the grip of the gloves Vesa had given him. Lyra stood beside her mother, pressing a kiss to Celine's forehead. Hold on, Mom. Please hold on. When she looked up at Evan, her voice was barely a whisper. Don't stop for anything. Not even for me. Evan nodded, though he knew. He would never keep that promise if it came to it. The last step before the first, as they moved toward the hidden exit, Orin called out one final warning. Remember, Carter, if Rax catches you, he won't kill you quickly. And if you're lucky, he'll kill you before you see why this war is really starting. Evan didn't answer. He just stepped into the night, rain in his hair, a map in his mind, and a gnawing thought in his chest. He wasn't just stealing a fusion core. He was about to steal the truth. Asterisk, the break-in city looked different from the rooftops. From up here, the streets were thin, glowing rivers, the crowds little swirls of color moving under a rain-smeared sky. Evan crouched low, his coat dark against the wet metal, eyes locked on the shadowed shape of Sector 7. The military compound wasn't beautiful, but it was solid. Tall black walls, guard towers with red sensors sweeping the perimeter. It didn't just look secure. It looked like it dared you to try. The rooftop game, beside him. Vesa's hands moved fast over a portable console, cables running from it, into a slim device clamped to a ventilation pipe. Her hood hid her face, but her voice was calm. All right, Carter. I've got the scanners ready. When you touch the first lock, you'll be Commander Rax for exactly 10 minutes. Don't waste them. Evan adjusted his gloves. What happens if I do? She didn't look up. Your bones end up in a place no one will ever find. He gave a thin smile, encouraging. Step 1. The roof. They crossed the final gap between rooftops with a silent leap, landing on the southern wing of Sector 7. Rain splashed off metal. A square hatch waited for them, biometric scanner glowing red in the dark. Evan placed his palm on it. The scanner beeped and spoke in a flat voice. Welcome, Commander Rax. Vesa gave a tight nod. Clocks running. Step 2. The descent inside, they moved down narrow maintenance corridors smelling of oil and ozone. The hum of the base surrounded them, a steady low vibration that made Evan's chest feel heavy. The freight elevator waited at the end of the hall. It was bigger than most apartments, lined with black steel and yellow hazard markings. As the doors slid shut, Evan glanced at the timer on his wrist, 9:24. Already. The minutes felt too fast. The elevator groaned as it descended deep under. The base passed floors that flashed by like ghost levels. Somewhere far above, the surface world disappeared. Step 3. The core chamber. When the doors opened, the temperature dropped. The fusion chamber wasn't just a room. It was a cathedral of power. Pillars of glowing energy rose from the floor, humming with restrained force. In the center, encased in armored glass, the fusion core pulsed like the heart of a sleeping giant. Evan stepped forward, but Vesa grabbed his arm. 2 guards, she whispered. They were human soldiers, armor black, faces covered by reflective visors. They stood like statues, but Evan knew the type, still as stone until they weren't. The distraction. Vesa reached into her coat, pulling a small cylinder. She rolled it across the floor. It hissed, then burst into a flare of smoke and crackling sparks. The guards moved instantly, but toward the noise, not them. Evan rushed forward, placing the stabilizer's power coupler into the core's docking point. The machine whined, releasing the lock. He lifted the core free, its weight surprisingly heavy, the energy inside vibrating through his arms. The data chip. 2 minutes left. Vesa warned. Evan's eyes darted to the data terminal. The chip Orin had given him burned like a stone. In his pocket. He hesitated. Every second counted, then shoved the chip into the port. The screen flickered. Lines of code streamed by. Then an image appeared. It was Commander Rax, shaking hands with someone Evan never expected. A human general and an alien counselor, standing together over a table covered in star maps. Every red dot on those maps was a planned strike. Vesa's voice was sharp. Carter, time. The close call. They were halfway to the elevator when a voice cut through the chamber. Leaving so soon, Carter? The sound froze him. Rax stood in the doorway, rainwater dripping from his coat, eyes locked on Evan. The smile was gone, replaced by something colder. Put the core down, Rax said, stepping forward, and maybe I'll let the girl live. Evan's pulse roared in his ears. He didn't know how Rax meant to kill him, but he knew one thing. He wasn't putting this core down. He hit the elevator button. The doors began to slide shut. Rax moved faster than expected, crossing the space in 3 long strides. Evan jammed his foot against the closing gap, forcing it just wide enough for him and Vesa to slip inside. The doors sealed a heartbeat before Rax's hand reached them. Through the narrowing slit, Evan saw Rax's eyes. They didn't promise revenge. They promised certainty. Rax didn't think Evan could escape, and that meant the worst was still coming. Asterisk the human factor. The elevator shot upward, the hum of the motor loud in Evan's ears. He could still feel Rax's gaze burning into his mind, like the man had planted a brand there. Beside him, Vesa's fingers tapped frantically on her console. security's locking down floors ahead of us. I can get you to the surface, but after that, you're on your own." Evan tightened his grip on the fusion core. "Story of my life." The surface break, the elevator doors opened into chaos. Sirens wailed, soldiers shouted orders, and overhead, black security drones swarmed like angry hornets. Rain poured down in sheets, flashing in the strobe of red alarms. Vesa shoved a small data drive into Evan's pocket. "That chip has everything you saw, every strike, every plan. Don't lose it." "What about you?" Evan asked. She smirked. "I'm already a ghost." And just like that, she melted into the smoke and shadows. The street gauntlet Evan sprinted through the outer gate, his boots slapping against wet metal. Every step felt heavier, not just from the core's weight, but from the knowledge in his pocket. Rax wasn't just after Celine, no. He'd hunt Evan for what he carried. Soldiers spotted him, rifles snapping up. He weaved through market stalls, knocking over crates of glowing fruit, ducking under neon tarps, vanishing into a crowd of shouting vendors. Somewhere behind him, a voice cut through the rain, not shouting, not even loud, but perfectly clear. "Bring him to me alive." Rax. The safe house returned. By the time Evan reached the hidden door of the safe house, his legs were shaking. Lyra was waiting, silver eyes wide with relief when she saw the core. "You got it," she breathed. He handed it to Oren, who moved with surgeon's precision, fitting the core into the stabilizer. The device hummed, glowing with a soft blue light. They placed it against Celine's temple. Her body shuddered once, twice. Then her eyes opened. The truth-wake Celine sat up slowly, her gaze focusing on Evan first. "You're the one who carried me." Evan nodded. "Figured someone had to." She gave the smallest smile. Then her expression hardened. "Where's the data?" Even handed her the drive. "It's all there, Rax. The generals. The councils. Every planned strike." She closed her eyes. "Then we still have a chance to stop them." The HFY moment. Evan frowned. "You're talking about starting a war against the people starting the war." Celine's voice was calm but fierce. "No, I'm talking about ending it before it begins. But for that, we'll need someone who can move where neither humans nor aliens can. Someone both sides underestimate." Lyra's gaze flicked to Evan. Evan chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "You mean someone stupid enough to walk straight into a death sentence?" "Or," Celine said, "someone human enough to hear a cry for help and not walk away." Before Evan could answer, a faint beep echoed in the room. Oren's eyes snapped to a corner monitor. Its feed showed the street outside. Commander Rax was there, alone, standing in the rain, coat dark, head tilted up toward the safe house windows, and he was smiling again. "He knows," Oren whispered. Rax lifted one hand and snapped his fingers. From the sky, a black dropship roared down, engines screaming. Soldiers poured out like a tide. Celine stood, steady now, her voice like steel. "Evan, if you're staying, you're fighting." Evan looked at her, at Lyra, at the rain slicking down the window. His pulse was steady now. "Yes, I'm staying."